This video demonstrates how a DevOps engineer would get started with Hopr. I'll demonstrate how a Kubernetes YAML file is templated for the Hopr sidecar to run alongside a production workload. Essentially, what we have here is a template file and some variables that we're going to inject into it using the YTT application provided by the Carvel project. So inside of our template, we have used YTT annotation mechanisms in order to allow different logic, such as looping and if-then statements, to be used inside of the YAML file that we see here. And also values such as our repository credentials and license key can be injected into this template file very easily. The variables injected into the template are in this values file. We can tell the YTT application whether or not we want to create a namespace as part of the template. We can turn that off and deploy into a different namespace that already exists. We can put different parameters here for the communication between endpoints. So we can enter our application port for the workload that we're running alongside. In this case, we have a node port set up so that we can attach a load balancer to it. And we're telling what port that node port is going to be running on. And then the listener port here would be the exposed Envoy listener and the remote endpoints involved in the communication. Below, we have our repository credentials. So these would be provided by Hopr during the onboarding process. So you would have your repo username, password, and the email associated with it injected into the Docker configuration JSON inside of this namespace. And then the chips algorithm that we're going to be using, as well as our Hopr license and key to open up the license. So once we have all of those variables filled out to our liking, all we have to do is run the YTT application, and we're going to feed in those two files and pipe the output to a third file that we're going to call output.yaml. So as soon as we do that, we can see that it has created the resultant YAML for us. All of those annotations for YTT are now gone. You can see that our Docker config JSON was created here and base64 encoded for us so that we don't have to worry about doing that manually. And also we have our chips algorithm and our Hopr license and the key to open it all nice and ready to go for us to be deployed. So from there, it's really as easy as just applying that Kubernetes YAML in order to deploy all of those objects to our Kubernetes environment. Likewise, if we want to remove those same objects, it's just as easy as running our kube control delete, and all of those objects are now going to be cleaned up for us, and we're all done. You can learn more at hopr.co.